Welcome to Back Into Fishing. I wanted to make a trek down here today to my community lake, check things out, look for some new fishing spots, check out how much of the lake is frozen, how thick the ice is. Now this is about as far up the lake as I can go, even though you can see the path in front of me keeps going. Probably can hear the construction work in the background. If you watched my video, I guess it was about May last year, the lake had flooded. The road up here got undermined. Now, so here this is 9 months later, and they are still working on the repairs of the road and for the drainage into this lake. I want to kind of get a feel for how thick the ice may be down here at this end. There's a rock sitting right out here somebody's thrown. Obviously bounced off. Now, if you follow my different YouTube channels regularly, you may be aware that I have a pinched nerve in my neck. It has greatly limited what I have been able to do with my right arm, but I'm going to give this a chuck as best as I can and see if it makes it through the ice. Solid bounce. I wouldn't dare try walking on it, but I'm sure it's pretty thick. Despite the lake almost being completely covered with ice, now here's an area that is open, a semicircle. I have a theory on that, why that is. There could be a spring of warmer water running into the lake here. I've seen this in several places. I'll document it if I see another one. Here's another open area, even bigger than the other ones that I've seen. Now I remember this from last year, being open like this. I made a similar video last year and picked this area out for this being open and as a possible new fishing spot. And I actually did catch some fish in this 20-30 yard section here to my right last year. Hopefully it'll produce again this year. Now again, I think this could be spring fed. That's why this is open, warmer water coming in. There's a lot of springs in this area. It wouldn't surprise me a bit if that's what's doing it. Now there's one huge rock somebody has tossed out there. Doesn't look like it made a dent in the ice. Another thing of interest to me here fishing wise, directly out in front of me here, about 30 feet, there was a log sticking up out of the water, and it's not sticking up out of there now. I don't know if the freezing ice has pushed it underwater or what. It's over the last couple of years it has slowly moved. It used to be more often this direction over here into there, and it's gotten closer into shore. Every time the water gets high in here, it kind of like floats down the lake a little bit, but now completely gone. It'll be interesting once this all thaws to see if it comes back. I've gotten to the bait stealing tree here, and can't really say anything new about this spot. Looks like the tree down here in the water there has turned slightly, rolled over just a little bit, and I'm sure you can make it out. One of my baits, small spinner baits, hanging off a limb there. Ergo the name, bait stealing tree. I've gotten here to the end of this cove. Nothing really new looking about this. I did catch a few fish in here. Nothing really to speak about. If you get this early enough in the day before the sun gets up and starts baking it, you might catch a few fish, especially in the summertime, though this is somewhat shallow. Later in the day, never caught a fish in here. Now, I always thought that hitting this place early in the morning with some kind of a topwater might be good, but as many times as I got out last year, I never made it down here to do that. Maybe this year. I'm down to the spillway now, and despite ice everywhere, it's not so much ice here right around the spillway. It's a large target when the sun's shining to warm up this area, but there's definitely a lot of water moving underneath, as you can hear it going over the spillway here. If you compare this to the beginning of the video where I was, if you can see it, the water coming into the lake, there's not nearly this much coming in as there is going out. I think that itself also lends some credence to this lake has to be fed by underground spring somewhere. There's obviously not this much water coming in that you can see, so must be water coming in you can't see. So I'm just starting my walk around the other side of the lake here, and I'm starting to see right along the shoreline open areas, and I guess that makes a lot of sense. The sun, as it tracks this time of year, tracks off in this direction, about up there in the sky. It's right up there right now. It tracks about like that, so this part, or this side of the lake, is the first to warm up. And actually, April of last year, the first bass I saw spawning in the lake were spawning on this spot right here. Almost every spot I've stopped at to look, even though I've only gone like 150 yards, but every spot there's melted water along the shoreline. Now this is a spot I marked in another video that I wanted to get in over the winter and try to clear out, because directly here in front of me I saw larger than the average bass in this lake spawning last year, but because of the brush growth I wasn't able to get too many casts in there. I always ended up in the tree or in the brush. And I wanted to come down here, clean this area out. Well, this is about as died back as it gets. I mean, it's the first week in February. We've had single-digit temperatures, probably 1.5 feet or more of snow over the last couple of weeks. And this is as dense, or not as dense, this is as sparse as it's going to get. So once this ground gets a little more firm, I definitely want to come down here and cut some of this stuff back. There's another spot I wanted to do some tree pruning on, but now that things have died back, I can see there's just no way of getting to exactly what I wanted to do. You might actually remember this from some of my videos from last year. I actually caught fish standing on the walkway. Either it was right here, but I actually think it was right here. That's a straight shot in. I got probably 8 or 9 fish out of here. I'll have to take a look at this again, see if there's something I can do with this spot. And of course this spot, which I've mentioned a couple of times, I wanted to get in here and add some brush to. This produced a good number of fish, good quality fish, 1.5 pound fish in 2017. It was probably I don't want to call it a dead area, but very little come out of here last year. I see Mother Nature has already put in a little bit of new stuff in here. I still want to add something to the right side of this tree. I made it to the park area. Now, this is as far up the lake on this side as I go. The rest of the lake on up here is just real shallow. You might occasionally catch a small straggler here or there, but since they dredged it in 2017, it's just not really produced anything. One thing you really can't see through the ice is about, stretch up here about 30-40 feet away, there's a bunch of trees down in the water, under the water. Now once you get into late April, May, the brush pretty much grows up and you can't get in there, but until that time, I was doing really good on panfish in there last year, so that's definitely going to be a repeat. Well, that is once around the lake. I didn't really find or see anything new and exciting, no new fishing spots, nothing of interest, but it is a day at the lake, even if I can't fish it. So hopefully things will get like they were, I believe it was in 2017. We had a warm spell in late February. From the day I last saw ice on the lake, 10 days later, the water had gone up somewhere in the neighborhood of about 15 degrees, and I was catching bass, and it was still winter. Hopefully we'll get a repeat of that. Either way, I'll see you in the next video. Appreciate you watching, supporting this channel. See you then.